It looks like word is going around that Netflix might be looking to pick up the Need for Speed franchise, and they might add new star power for the success of movie, and honestly, that wouldn't be too surprising. They've already proven they can take video game properties and turn them into big hits. Just look at The Witcher and Arcane. But if Need for Speed does make a comeback, it raises a big question. Are we getting a straight-up sequel, a full-on reboot with new faces, or maybe even a prequel that dives into the past? Right now, there's actually an IMDb page for Need for Speed 2, which is supposedly a direct follow-up to the 2014 movie. The writer, George Gattens, is back on board, which is a solid sign. But here's the thing, there's still no cast attached. That means we don't know who's playing the lead, and that role is rumored to be Toby Marshall's son. Whoever lands it is going to have to carry the story, so fans are definitely watching that space closely. And considering how Netflix has been killing it lately, there's a good chance they could breathe new life into this franchise. Now let's talk about what Need for Speed 2 might actually look like. Imagine Toby's son growing up in his dad's auto shop, learning the ropes and developing a serious talent for both building and racing cars. By the time he hits 18, he's ready to jump into the underground scene. But things don't stay simple for long. A group of corrupt cops, who clearly have it out for street racers, start targeting him and his crew. And these aren't your regular patrol cars. These cops are driving souped-up performance vehicles designed to keep up. So Marshall Jr. builds his own car, maybe a slick Lotus Elise, something that's light, nimble, and perfect for weaving through tight spots. While he's working on his engineering degree during the day, he's racing by night. Somewhere along the line, he meets a girl who doesn't quite get the whole street racing thing at first, but as she spends more time with him, she starts to appreciate the thrill and realizes she's actually pretty good at it herself. The big event they're both preparing for is the DeLeon race, which is this epic multi-stage showdown with car swaps and everything. But just as the hype starts building, a rival racer with ties to Dino, from the first film, wants payback for an old grudge. He ends up snitching to the cops about the race, putting the whole thing at risk. And here's the twist. The girl Marshall Jr. is dating? She's the daughter of one of those corrupt cops. She doesn't agree with what her dad is doing, though, and secretly helps by feeding Marshall Jr. insider info. Toby, being the overprotective dad, finds out and puts his foot down. He tells his son to quit racing, but of course, that just makes things more complicated. Marshall Jr. is torn. Does he respect his father's wishes or follow his passion? In the end, he decides to modify his mom's old 2015 Mustang into a beast built to outrun police vehicles. With help from his girlfriend, who's now fully in the loop, he prepares to take on the DeLeon. Race day comes, and it's as intense as you'd expect. Just as things are starting to spiral out of control, Marshall Jr. steps in to save one of his teammates, using the intel his girlfriend passed along to stay ahead of the law. But then, there's a huge crash that takes one of his crew members out of the race, and Toby can't jump in because of an injury. So, it's all on Marshall Jr. He hops into the Lotus Elise and gives an incredible performance. He doesn't quite win, but he earns major respect. Of course, there's always that one guy who tries to mock him for showing up to a hypercar race in a Lotus. But whatever, he proved himself. And just when it looks like all hell is about to break loose, his girlfriend shows up with Toby, driving one of their classic rides. They reveal that one of the DeLeon racers was the mole, and the whole community turns on him, kicking him out and welcoming her into the fold. But her helping Marshall Jr. comes at a price. Her dad finds out and completely cuts her off, so she ends up moving in with him and his family. Even though that's tough, it brings everyone closer, and you can already feel the setup for Need for Speed 3. There's still unfinished business with her dad, and it's clear he's not done causing trouble. As things start to calm down, Marshall Jr. and his girlfriend find some peace in their new life. Toby's crew becomes tighter than ever, and it feels like a new chapter has officially begun. But with her dad still lurking in the shadows, there's definitely more drama to come. That said, this isn't the only direction Need for Speed could take. A reboot could be another way to go, one that gives the franchise a fresh start. That could mean a completely new cast, updated cars, and a storyline that reflects today's racing culture. Maybe this time, the conflict centers around a race that pits old-school muscle cars against sleek, high-tech electric vehicles. It'd be a cool way to show how the racing world is changing and create some juicy rivalries along the way. Plus, a reboot would be a great chance to bring in a more diverse group of characters. The street racing scene is global, and there are so many different cultures and driving styles that could be represented. That kind of variety wouldn't just add flavor to the story, it would make the whole thing feel more real and current. Another way a Need for Speed sequel could really stand out is by bringing in some fresh star power. Because, let's be honest, having a recognizable name or two can go a long way in drawing attention, especially for a franchise that's been quiet for a while. Imagine someone like Timothée Chalamet or Jacob Elordi stepping into the lead role as Toby Marshall's son. It would give the story a modern edge and help the movie connect with younger audiences. And let's not forget the impact of having a strong female lead too. Maybe someone like Zendaya or Jenna Ortega as the love interest or even a fellow racer. That kind of casting could spark new interest and make the story feel more current. Bringing in new talent doesn't mean they have to ignore the original cast though. In fact, mixing the old with the new might be the perfect balance. Aaron Paul could return as Toby in more of a mentor or father figure role, which would add emotional weight to the sequel. So while the story moves forward with a younger cast, longtime fans still get that sense of continuity. It's a smart way to keep both generations of viewers engaged, and with Netflix potentially involved, the chances of snagging big names are pretty solid. They've been known to take risks with casting that totally pay off. Just look at how they handled The Witcher or Arcane. They brought in recognizable faces or voices and made those worlds feel even more immersive. So if they apply the same formula to Need for Speed, we could see a high-energy cast that brings charisma, diversity, and chemistry to the screen. Of course, the right chemistry between actors is key, especially in a story like this that's fueled by loyalty, rivalry, and passion. A strong lead duo could really anchor the emotional beats, whether it's a romantic spark, a fierce rivalry, or a bond between teammates. So even though the cars and action will be front and center, having actors who can sell those deeper moments will make the whole thing more compelling. In the end, star power alone doesn't guarantee a hit, but when paired with a solid story and high-octane action, it can be the fuel that takes the Need for Speed sequel into a whole new gear. And that's exactly what this franchise might need to roar back onto the screen. The key is staying true to what made the original special, while finding ways to modernize and surprise people. So whatever Netflix is cooking up, fans are definitely watching closely. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you in the next one. Don't forget, drop your suggestions for future videos down in the comments below.